Alrighty, cutie. Sorry I had to cut off the last video so quickly. It's that my roommate came back and I didn't want to be rude or anything. But her and her boyfriend just left to go have dinner. So I'm gonna continue recording this game because I think I'm just gonna record it all in one session. That way I don't lose saves. I don't know if this game has a saving mechanic. It doesn't look like it does. I quickly turned and ran up the stairs to my room, slamming the door behind me. My breath came in short pants, and while I just leaned against the door to my bedroom, eventually sliding down to sit against it. So yeah, we left off where our dad hit us across the face because we were upset about our grandpa dying. And now we're crying in our room. Great. How did things become like this? My cheek still throbbed and tentatively stood up and looked in the mirror to see how it looked. Hopefully it doesn't bruise. What am I saying? Tears formed in the corners of my eyes, but I blinked them back rapidly. I couldn't cry for the second time today. I had to be stronger than that. Your dad hit you across the face and your grandpa just died. Honestly, it's okay to cry.
Are you alright? Your father told me nothing happened, but you know your father.
I'm fine. I just lost my appetite.
The lasagna's done, though, and I don't want you skipping any meals. Are you sure?
Are you the boys from Mystic Messenger? Yeah, don't worry about me, Mom. I'll come downstairs later to eat.
You're not telling me the whole story.
I just don't want to eat right now.
Please, dear. Tell me what's going on. I wish you would tell me why you're being like this.
Because my dad hit me, and my grandpa's dead. I wanted to tell her. Part of me was screaming her to tell her what Dad had done. At the same time, I knew she couldn't fix anything. Besides, I was moving out regardless. I remained silent, letting the event remain in the past.
I'll leave your food on the table if you want to eat it later.
Thanks, Mom. Finally, my mom left me alone. It was strange to think that she only a few inches away from me, only separated by a single wooden door. I really didn't know what to do. I needed to do something, anything, to get my mind off of what had just happened. Anything would be better than thinking any more about the pain still radiating from my cheek. I was going to move into my grandfather's house tomorrow. I should probably pack up my stuff so I would be prepared for tomorrow. Yeah, that was a good idea. I should start packing. I opened the closet, rummaging around before I found 2 large bags, pulling them out on the floor, and I began to empty my drawers and cabinets so that I could bring all of my things with me. I didn't have much to bring other than just clothes and some toiletries. It was kind of bizarre that I didn't really have any personal belongings. It wasn't just my luggage was completely devoid of them, but I certainly didn't have many things in my rooms that I would miss if I suddenly left them in the house. I shook my head to rid myself of those thoughts. If it were going to be my new home, it would have to feel like it, one way or another. I was going to make it a home. I slid my phone, that's an obnoxious ringtone, okay? I slid my phone out of my pocket and answered it for a while, easing myself onto the bed. Who could possibly be calling me?
Hey Anderson, you there? Is everything alright? We were worried about you, so we decided to call. Hello?
I'm really glad you guys called. My voice managed to come out, though it was only a whisper.
What happened? Are you okay?
Well, I suddenly began to tell them about the funeral that afternoon. The small silence followed when I was done recounting what had happened. To my relief, Naomi finally spoke up.
I can't begin to imagine how you must be feeling right now. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to come over right now?
No, it's okay. My dad isn't in a good mood, so could we just keep talking on the phone like this?
Of course! We'd stay on the phone until the crack of dawn. Right, Suzu? Yeah. We're always here if you need us. After all, we wouldn't be the awesome triple threat trio without you, right?
Haha, yeah.
Triple threat trio? That sounds like the name of a gang. Yeah! I mean, we're all taking on the world together. We've got to sound somewhat scary, or else no one's going to take us seriously. What's with you and naming things? You've got to step up your game, Naomi. Falling behind with the cool kids like Anderson and me.
Am I the only one who's kind of shipping Suzu and Naomi a little bit?
Hey! I'm a cool kid! If anything, I'd say you'd have to step up your game.
Naomi, you are a stick in the mud. We chatted cheerfully about all sorts of things. Very soon I had forgotten about the event that day and had engaged in conversation with Naomi's favorite TV show, some program called Herlock. Honestly, Sherlock? Yes. Good, good. Naomi, you have been redeemed. Sherlock is amazing. We all agreed that the actor playing the titular character certainly had a very distinctive look about him, and it was long overcoat, and so they're fangirling over Benedict Cumberbatch, as most girls do. We had many disagreements about who we thought was the coolest character. It's definitely Jim Moriarty. Haha, yeah, he has really high cheekbones, and his eyes are pretty, though, yeah, they're definitely talking about Benedict Cumberbatch. Though I did have to say I prefer Watson. Oh, you like Martin Freeman? He's adorable. And as a bonus, the actor is just so sassy. Yes, Martin Freeman is the sass king. I looked at the clock hanging on the wall and I realized how late it was. Whoa, it's already 1 a.m.? Sorry for keeping you guys up so late. I think I'm going to hit the hay for tonight. See you guys at school tomorrow. I should probably shower and go to bed. I can't believe I stayed up this late just talking to my friends. But it was really nice. Well, to the bathroom I go. Why am I talking to myself? Well, I mean, I'm judging this character, but I talk to myself all the time, so... I took a relaxing shower, though beat the hot water and feeling of the beginning of the clean. After drying myself, I promptly dressed in my pajamas and crawled onto the bed. Haha, a nice shower after a long day. I'm so glad to finally get to bed. It had been a really long day. I knew that I was wishing for something to change back in class, but I certainly wasn't expecting any of the things that had happened today. And I have to go back to school tomorrow. Ugh. Technically, you should get at least, 2 days for grieving? I think that's the law. Well, that might just be in Oklahoma, but I think you're supposed to be allowed 2-3 days to grieve after an intimate family member dies. I curled up in my side and tightly wrapped the blankets around me. I really wasn't in the mood to be returning to school, but my dad probably would make me just for the sake of it. It's time to go to sleep. I reached out to the lamp on my nightstand to turn off the lights. However, my mind was just lost in the passing of my grandfather. And the thought of inheriting something so big that it haunted my mind for the entire night until the next morning. Ow. I shook my head to try and clear the sleepiness out of me, to no avail. I really didn't get any sleep last night. It was already time to wake up. Wait, school. I soon realized that I had to go to school. I slid out of bed and looked at the vanity mirror. That's a relief. Luckily, there was barely a bruise on my cheek. You had to squint to actually see it. I doubted anyone would actually notice it unless they leaned in really close. Breathing a sigh, I got dressed, took my backpack, and caught the bus to go to school. You guys are rich. Why do you have to take the bus? It wasn't even hours before everyone heard of the news. I was approached to school and given condolences for my loss. However, that wasn't what shocked my friends.
Wait, so you have the whole Anderson house to yourself? Lucky as hell, man!
My grandpa just died. Could you be a little bit more sensitive, please? Thank you.
Quit being so sensitive, Naomi. Quit being so vulgar, Suzu.
I agree with Naomi on this. Yep, Naomi's right.
Oh, man, come on! See? She knows about proper public taste. I know how to be a lady. Sheesh.
Guys, I'm going there after school today because my parents want me to get used to living there.
Seriously? It hasn't even been a day since you came back to school.
I know, but my parents want me to try living there as soon as possible.
Still,
Not my
that's
parents,
really
my dad.
fast. Are you going to be okay?
Of course. But even in the comfort of my best friends, life seemed to keep testing me. Oh!
Hey! Don't go around shoving people like that.
Whoops. Did I strike a nerve, Capini?
Lisette, my grandpa just died. Are you gonna be a dick? She let out a small laugh as she twirled her hair around her fingers. Lisette was one of the last people I wanted to see today.
It's not me you should be apologizing to.
Oh, Anderson. Hey, how's it going?
I'm alright. No,
Haven't you already heard, Lizette? Of what? Her grandfather's passing. Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't really watch a lot of news.
It doesn't really sound like you mean it.
I do mean it. earnestly. Why wouldn't I?
Because you're a bitch!
Typical Capini. Isn't her family involved with the mafia or something? I wouldn't be surprised if she brought out a bat from behind her back right this moment.
I'd nearly forgotten the crowd that followed Lisette, which was mostly comprised of people that no one wanted to see on a typical school day. No one had the slightest idea why exactly they followed Lisette around persistently, but they labeled themselves as social equals with her.
That is out of line. Suzu comes from an honest family.
Says the one whose family profits from political scandals.
Yeah, your dad doesn't make anything unless he's in the court with dirty politicians.
Hey, let's all calm down for a second.
These
all
girls
right?
are assholes!
I'm sure Anderson needs some time to recuperate. I mean, what just happened? We need to give her some respect.
Thank you, Lisette. Just stop. Stop acting like that already. Like you feel sorry for me.
What are you talking about?
I'm sure you're happy seeing me like this. You already have everything you wanted, and now seeing me like this, life couldn't get any better. Bitterness seeped into me, and words started flying out of my mouth without a filter. But honestly, I don't care. I was so consumed by anger that I only saw Lisette in front of me. What exactly am I to do to you? Just another part of an obstacle course? Is that what I am? I'm sick of it, Lisette. I'm sick of all these charades. I'm sick of you. Gasped from the crowd around her, I was brought back to the school hallway. Even my friends beside me looked at me in surprise. One girl looked like she was going to speak up, but Lisette held her hand up to stop. There was an emotion on her face that I couldn't quite make out, but I could see some form of pity in her eyes. No, don't you dare pity me. I looked away from her. I didn't want to see the emotion in her eyes when she was talking to me. She didn't have the right to look at me that way.
I'm sorry. I know your grandfather passing away must have really taken a toll on your emotions.
Yeah, so get your little asshole friends and get the fuck out of my way. She stepped towards me and put her hand on my shoulder. Don't touch me, giving me a tiny smile, as if for old time's sake. But for some reason, I didn't feel comforted at all. Not that I was just angry at her, but the expression on her face when she leaned in close to me contorted into something complex. Something that was different about her. I couldn't place a finger on it, but something about her had definitely changed.
Well, I'll be going for now. Track meet responsibilities and all of that stuff. See you later.
I hope you go die. Something about Lisette made me feel uncomfortable. It wasn't just angry, but also uneasy. What was it? I never seen her like that before. But I decided to pay no further attention to her. She continued down the hallway with her gaggle of friends behind her. I refocused my attention on Mrs. Phillips, who was walking down the hall towards me.
Is everything all right, girls?
Nothing we couldn't handle, Mrs. P. Just a bunch of snobs.
Suzu, hush! It was nothing, Mrs. Phillips.
I see. Well, Miss Anderson, please accept my condolences for your loss.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips.
Your grandfather was a good man. He really upheld the philanthropy of his company's policies, and the money that went towards charity, too.
I know, he was amazing. I always looked up to him. I want to be as good as he was.
Well, I know that you'll be as great as your grandfather.
Hell yeah, she will. She'll be 10 times better than her grandfather.
Would I really be better than my grandfather? Everyone seemed to have high expectations for me. I wanted to be my best and make my family proud, but to be better than my grandfather? I wasn't sure about that. From the outside of the school window, I saw a familiar blue car pull up to the curb. Undoubtedly, it was my father in the driver's seat. Oh, my ride's here. Well, I guess I'll see you both tomorrow.
Want us to come with you?
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll be fine. See you. Hey, Dad.
Hey, honey.
Yeah, you better apologize, you asshole. You hit me. As I got in the car, I noticed my father looked troubled, clutching the steering wheel and staring straight ahead as if something was really bothering him.
About what happened yesterday. I'm sorry for yelling at you. Does your cheek still hurt?
You're just sorry for yelling? You hit me! No, it's nothing to worry about.
I mean it. I shouldn't have laid a finger on
You're
you.
right.
You know that you're my most precious daughter. You're all that I have.
I don't know if I should feel bad for him. I'm still kind of pissed that he hit me to begin with. Yet he couldn't bring himself to say what he could have never said to me and for such a long time. I always wanted to hear those words to affirm what he really felt, but I guess even now he couldn't say it to me. I turned my head away to look at the window. There was no point waiting for something that was never going to come. And like that, he started to drive, and the conversation between us ended. I decided to focus my attention on the passing scenery. We were taking the usual route to grandfather's house. It was located within the vicinity of the school district, but it was still pretty far from the school and from where our house was. He'd always lived alone. He insisted on doing things by himself, even in his age living in such a large house. I wondered, did he pass away with no one by his side as well? It sounded lonely. So sad. It was strange that he decided to live all alone in his large estate. If anything, he could have lived with us. I don't think that would have been a good idea, considering that Dad and him did not get along, obviously. Though he and Father probably would have given each other the silent treatment the entire time, maybe living alone was preferable to that. I actually hadn't visited him for quite a while. Visits to his house were more frequent when I was a child. I had grown up long since then. The last time I visited, though, I thought he looked just as his usual, as he usually was, happy and healthy. But things change. In the back of my mind, I knew he would leave one day. It wasn't like humans could live forever. So why did my heart still feel so empty or heavy? The car ride was mostly spent in silence until he spoke up again.
How was school? Maintaining your grades, I hope.
Just say you love me. I am your daughter, sir. Yeah. I've been trying my best as of so far.
Trying? That's not really doing the best you can, is it?
Why are you like this? With my father, only some words I said were filtered through his ears. It was difficult to keep up a conversation without eventually talking about academics or my future, even if it wasn't something loosely based on it. He always found a way to interrogate it somehow whenever we talked.
Anyway, your belongings are in the trunk.
Can't speak.
There isn't a lot, so I'm sure you can manage bringing them inside the house. After all, you are on the road to being independent now. What am I, like 17, 18? I mean, I'm 19 in real life, but my character, 17, 18? Why are you... Are there parents out there? I'm sorry. Anybody who has parents like this, I am your mom now, okay? I am your mom, because this is terrible. Yes, I can manage on my own. The usual silence resumed between us. I really wasn't sure what to say around him, especially when most of the time we didn't share the same opinions. One question did linger in my mind, though. If he was going to justify acting so nonchalant at grandfather's funeral, I had the right to at least know. Okay, I realized that we loved Grandpa, but could you, if your dad, if this character's dad died right now, would you be too terribly sad, cry at his funeral because your relationship with him is really strained as well? Leave it alone. There was no use talking to him about this. It would only be reopening the wound or reapplying a bruise. I sigh. He gave me a side glance out of curiosity, but didn't pursue it further. Typical. I leaned against the car door and stared out the window. I really couldn't think what would this place be like. I had been to my grandfather's house before, but it was the only thing visiting was another time actually living there. When are we going to get to the boys? This is an Otome game, right? There should be cute boys soon. How would I manage living on my own without any training to really care for a house? I knew that naturally the bills would be paid by my parents, who inherited grandfather's stocks to the corporation. But I'd never lived independently before. Thinking about it made me feel feel like a bird being pushed out of the nest. Though I was technically an adult, I felt unprepared and a bit daunted at this prospect of actually moving to a new place. Okay, I realize you do have a lot of issues, and your dad is kind of an asshole. But this is an extremely first world problem, this one right here about living on your own, because your parents are paying for everything, so calm down just a little bit. Thanks, goodbye. Most people my age would be ecstatic moving out. After all, it would symbolize some kind of change in their lives, like being on the road to independence. But I felt like it was nothing of the sort. I really hoped I wouldn't let my parents down. I really wouldn't want to let my grandfather down. What would he be saying right now? I gazed up at the passing clouds in the sky. If you're out there, grandfather, how would you be doing? Would there be anything you'd want to tell me at this moment? Of course, no answer. What was I doing? Searching for an answer in a heaven that would or would not exist? I ducked my head down to stare at the blur of trees and cars from the car window. My head was definitely going into the clouds there at the moment. Either way, I found myself being driven off to my new home. The car rolled to a stop and I drifted out of my thoughts.
Here we are. Go on in.
All right, tell Mom I love her.
Right.
But you guys need to repair your relationship or you're going to end up exactly like you and your grandfather. Do you not see this coming, Dad? Like, you are literally doing to me whatever Grandpa did to you. I love you, Dad. No, make sure to come by and visit us often. No, I'm going to miss you lots. Nothing other than a blank stare. I paused for a bit before reaching into the car door handle, waiting for any form of goodbye, but he didn't speak again. I sighed, exited the car, hearing my dad pop up in the trunk. I saw 2 large bags I packed last night. They was large enough to carry the only things I needed. I took them out, placed 1 bag on each shoulder, and closed the trunk. He drove off, leaving me alone in front of the mansion. I watched the blue car fade into the distance off the road before turning to see my new home. There it is. It's huge. My grandfather gave me this. It's hard to believe. The house was framed and set by tall gates, and I hesitantly pushed aside to take the entire estate. The house still looked like it was when I last visited him. At a glance, it seemed kind of intimidating with its size, though as I came closer, it was clear that there was more to it than that. The brick walls were framed by shrubbery, lovely flowers giving in the homey and welcoming look, but in contrast to the tall doors of the house gave me a feeling of grandeur. Who knew what would be waiting for me, but I wouldn't back down at this moment. I took out the key from the front doors and unlocked it. Well, might as well make myself at home. I'll be staying here for quite a while anyways. And that's when I saw them. Lying on the floor was a group of men. They were all unconscious. There was no explanation as to why they were there in the first place. I dropped my bags and let the door close on its own behind me. Huh? Who the heck are these guys? Why are they here? What's going on? Some of them had open wounds. The blood was staining the floor, and the scent was intermingling in the air. I couldn't help but feel bad for them instinctively, but nevertheless I was shocked and a bit angry at the sudden intrusion. My mind suddenly went from caring, concerned, and confused, and demanding answers. Who are you guys? No response. I'll call the police. Still nothing. None of them seemed to be awake to the answers or responded to me. It seemed surreal to have some random strangers in a house I just moved into. But I wanted answers quickly. That was until... Eep! Get away from me!
Woman, you're going to let me kiss you.
Okay, no. What's going on? I don't like this. I couldn't believe myself. Within a mere blink of an eye, one of the men went from lying on the floor to being right in front of my face. There was even more odd the fact that I felt serene and calm about it. Okay, so I have to end this recording because I'm at 20 minutes. But, okay. I promise you'll get whatever happens next tomorrow. I'll get to know right now. Haha, sorry. But anyway, have good days, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.